Well, an hour or so later, that's it all ground down. I've got just a few places in it, some right along in here, some right down there in the corner that didn't get welded all the way through, or had a little hole or crack or something in them. But it matches what I had there real good. It's all straight, and it's plenty good to throw a little thin coat of Bondo on it. Some of them little pinholes, I hate to try to weld them up because they go from a little pinhole to a big hole. So right in here was a little bit of a problem because this was bent. But all in all, firewall's in and it's straight. Now I gotta rig up this steering bracket through here, drill a couple holes and bolt it. Yeah, one little thin coat of Bondo will fix all of that. It's basically welded in solid all the way around. I kind of did my brake lines first, bent them out of the way a little bit so I get my grinder in there. So this is a kind of a major step to get this all in there and sealed up. Somehow there was a little bit of error in the transmission tunnel hole. It looks like I got it over a little bit too much, maybe half an inch. But it's good enough. I have to make some kind of cover for that whole little piece right there anyway. And I had to move my floorboard back, of course. I put a ratchet strap in there to squeeze the bottom of this together. It looks good. Sure got a lot of dirt in here. I'll blow this out. Well, there's the last structural part. I drilled a hole in the shaft, welded a nut on it so I could put a bolt in there and clamp it. It doesn't really hold anything, it just keeps it from falling down. And I got that firewall joint in there pretty good, and it's not really tightened up good against the firewall, but it's all cleared, and the steering's real strong. I got this much movement in the steering wheel, but that's the steering wheel itself from the, I'm just barely touching this. Might have just a little play in these heim joints, but steers good, feels good and solid. And I can get in the car and turn the wheels pretty easily with one hand. With two hands it's real easy with it just sitting here. So it's scrubbing the tires and still turning, and I think I've got it hitting a header a little bit on the part that's not flat. But anyway, that's what I needed to do to the firewall. Another thing I got to do, I got an old carburetor back up over there I'll put on this thing, and I need to mock me up a gas pedal. I'll have to cut that cut a little bit off the front of that floor so it hits the firewall good. I haven't really pressed on it or anything. See how strong it is. Yeah, well, it's pretty solid. I think I'm going to design it to put a couple wood screws on each side, or maybe an L bracket would be better, and bolt the bottom of that firewall right to the floor. That'll strengthen everything up, but it looks real good. Kind of looks crooked there with the grinding part. That's because it's shiny. But I do need to put a little Bondo on it, cleaned up. Of course, I got to paint this. I've got some black paint. I don't really want to do that. I think the firewall would look good as a, you know, blue, the same color as the car. I'll save the black paint for the top, and I think if I paint the top black and these fenders black, it'll look good. Not sure. Might look good all blue, but that's a lot. Maybe the splash guard here, black roof and black splash guard, black fenders, or blue fenders, black splash guard. That'll give it a top piece and a bottom piece that are black, and the rest of the car will be blue. Don't know. I'm not that far away from starting to paint some stuff, like that firewall. I need to decide on it, what I'm going to do, and then take some of that stuff off so I can paint it and then put it back on. I don't want to be taking it off and on and painting it over and over. Anyway, that's kind of a major job done. Firewall's in, bolted up, steering works good through it. Well, I fooled with this all day. I basically put a 1/2 inch piece, cut it at a 45, welded it together. I got this front piece here. I found out how to do it, drill it and screw it down. I've got it pretty straight. I mean, it's got to be perfectly straight because glass is and don't bend. So I'm off 1/8 of an inch in the square, but I'm gonna just weld it right here to this little channel, and I'm gonna have to clamp that down over there some more, drill another hole in it and put one of these little bolts in it. And then on the back, once it's welded together, of course I can't get the glass in it. So what I'm going to do is weld a plate on the back of this. This should be right flush with the, kind of hard to see in here, but the this angle iron is flush with the back of the 1 inch piece. I'm going to put a plate on it, and drill that plate and tap it so it'll bolt into the frame. And then once that's done, then I'll take it out and I'll cut the plate and the angle iron in half. So what I'll be able to do is put the bottom half with the glass in and screw the bottom half to the frame. That'll hold it, and then I can fill this top half with silicone and put it on the glass, and then screw it down. I'll put one plate right here in the middle, one on each side. I think that'll be enough to hold it. Once I've got that done, I kind of figured out what I'm going to do with this roof. I made this curved piece of pipe. It's going to set in there like this. Basically right here at the edge of this, it'll be a round pipe, and I'll butt weld it against this square piece here, and then I'll have to do something with the sheet metal. You know, that's 18 gauge. It's going to be hard to bend in a curve, but I think I can do it. I'll make something like big vice grips or something, or crescent, to start bending this into a curve, and then I'll just have to fabricate strips, weld them in, and I'll have to make a crescent across the top here that'll go down onto this pipe. So my sun visor is going to be sticking out, not very far, like 4 inches. But I'll get rid of all of this rough square stuff. Then I'll have to go in here and make some little patch panels to go up here, and it's going to be quite a bit of work to fill up all this hole. But the first thing that I had to do is I had to get this window sorted out, because once I put all this on and got it curved over and stuff, this is covering up part of the window, and it'd be really hard to work in there. But I think with this plan, I can stick the bottom half of the window up in it with the glass, and then go from the inside and finish putting on the top piece. And I'll stay away from this curved place here. So once I can get this window completely sorted out and welded, then I'll start working on this visor, and then I'll take it out and cut it up. Well, I was able to just tack this frame I made here onto this cowl piece, and now I gotta kind of weld it up. It's held, but not very strong. So I got me a little piece of metal here, and I'm going to weld this in. That should give me some strength. I don't know what it's going to do about holding it up, I'll find out. Found my big shears. This goes through a 16 gauge like butter. So anyway, I'll make me a little, trim this patch up a little bit better, and I'll weld it in. And this is on the bottom, so hopefully it won't interfere with anything. All I can do is try, and then I can, if it does mess up, I'll have to grind it off. But I think that'll be good enough to hold this. It doesn't have to be real structural. It just has to hold it still and in the same place while I'm fooling around with the glass. Once the glass is in and siliconed, you won't have to worry about this anymore. But this is just mostly to hold it while I try to get the glass in it. Yeah, this one's turned out all right. I ground it pretty flush to this bottom piece. Might be up a little bit, but I think it'll be good enough. I'll test it and put it in there. I may have to knock that down with a flapper wheel, but did a pretty good job in here. It's like some of my old rubber and stuff is melted off, and I might be able to put another tiny bead right in there. I don't know, that's where flat glass is gonna go. Just like this little rubber piece here. Got hot. I think I'll be all right. Just put one more little tack in there, and I can get to it with a cutoff tool or something, or a little rotary burr if it's too bad. Let's see. Well, in here somewhere. We'll just try it. Try to put a couple little tacks in there. There's one. Another one. There's another one at the edge. I think that's all right. I'll have to grind that up a little bit, but that helped it. Now I'll move on to the other side. And there it is, all ground up. I put it back in. It looks like whenever I took it out, that middle piece kind of popped up there a little, and I had to screw it down, which changed the curve, and it looks like I got a little piece up here on top. It's a little too low. It's fitting good over there. I'll have to, I don't know what I'll do about that. It's kind of welded in right now. I can't change it a lot. Might be able to knock it up, bend that bottom, but not really. I think that's good enough. I'll cut me a bolt it down good and then try to cut me a piece of cardboard to fit it, and then I'll have that template and I'll have make the glass from that. But anyway, it's a deal for another day. I can get it in easily from the back. The front's a little bit of a problem, but not the back. So now I can kind of move on to what I was planning on doing up here on this roof. Well, I got this squared up and tacked in. That's where that's going to go. And I was just looking here, and up in this area right here, it's just a hole. So air will just blow through this thing. There's really going to be no way of fixing it to be airtight. I'll have to squirt some foam or something in it, but I'm going to make a plate that goes down here and fills this hole up in here. Weld that on, then I can weld this curved plate. I'll make another one that'll match this curve, come up to the bottom of this thing here. Of course, all this bottom part still leak air, but at least I'll have a plate here so it's just not blowing right straight through the cab. And I'll fill this inside up with some of the expanding spray foam. I've got some undercoat that I'm going to spray up there on that, keep the wind from going there. I think I got it welded up good enough, but and now I gotta bend this down. I don't know whether I'm going to try to bend it or clamp a big piece of pipe up in there and try to curve it, but I do have to make two plates here to cover this up. This one I'm gonna cut it back here, just leave a thin plate like this, cut all this part of this square off so I can figure out some way around in the corner on there. Other side's about the same. Kind of a bad time to think about it now, but I gotta make some kind of a plate that'll fit in here. Plug that up, and I won't have to mess with filling this hole here. My plate will cover it, and then fabricate the rest of this. It's a little different from that side over there to this side, but it's 2.5 inches away from the frame, so it'll be square. Of course, this is going to be another whole deal getting that down in there. First thing is to make these plates. I'll make a cardboard cutout and then weld that plate in, and then I'll try to make this curved piece. You can see it over there. It'll be along the edge of this and up to the, so this will all be kind of straight, welded up. I'll get this bottom done. In the last part here, I'll be trying to figure out this curve and everything on the top of this. So, of course, I still got to finish this down here. Not sure what I'll do with that, but all this got to be welded up. A lot of little work. Takes time. Well, I cut that one out. Kind of looks like a pork chop. And welded it in. Ground it off down here where I could get to it. The next one is a piece that fits right in here. It goes around that pipe. We've got it marked out there on the steel. And we'll cut it out and probably have to do a bit of trimming on that one to get it to fit. I sprayed a bunch of rust converter up in there. Blew it in with the air hose, so I should be good to go with that. So, cut my next one out, weld it in, and then I'll have to make like a little 90-degree patch here. Take a little bit of time, that's all. Just have to make these little pieces and weld them in. Well, that fit in there real good. Almost immediately, first try. It matching good there in the back, and surprisingly enough, I cut my curve good. Once I get that welded in, I can kind of fool around with this square pipe here that's holding the round pipe on. It's got to cut a little big there, but that's all right. I can tack that. I'm just going to tack it in, and I'll clean that up with a wire brush so I have a decent weld. And weld it up, grind it off. And I should have a pretty decent patch. I should have made it a little longer, but I think I'll be all right. I didn't have much of a curve to that, just a straight angle. But by the time I make this round piece here, I think that'll look all right. And that one's ground up and put in. Don't look bad. Got a nice curve to it. I got one more piece to curve here. And inside's all right. I should have made it a little longer to cover this hole, but I can weld that up. I should have made this whole piece longer, I guess. I guess it's all right. I just put a little piece of something right there. Maybe just weld it with wire and trim it down. I've been looking at this. I think if I split this square piece here right along this outside edge and cut it off, so where all I've got is a 1/2 inch plate, or just cut it off completely and put a 1/2 inch plate on there, and then cut this at like a 45 across here, and just bend this plate around to where it matches. That'd be one way to get a curve in the corner of this. I can cut this with a cutoff tool. But I really don't see how else I could do it. I can't leave it square like this. But I think if I just cut it back here somewhere and just weld a 1/2 inch, just cut this off completely, weld a 1/2 inch piece in here, and then I can curve it around, make it fit. That'll give me a little curve. I knew that I was going to have to do something with it, but the more I work on this and get it closer and closer to this edge, it's more and more obvious what I need to do. Anyway, next thing would make me a little flat piece for this, cover that up. I made me a little T-patch, and it goes all the way to here, and welded that in. That looks pretty good. I'm got me a magnifying glass in my helmet, and all of a sudden I can see. So my welding went up a whole long ways just because I'm able to see instead of just guess where I'm welding at. So now I got to make this little curved side piece like that one over there. It'll go on the edge of this and up around this pipe, and once I can get that welded in, then I can come over to this side and cut this little square off of here. Right now the only thing that's holding this pipe in is that weld, so I need to cut that off, put a 1/2 inch piece of pipe in it, and I can start making a corner. This corner is kind of coming along. I'm going to have some trouble with it matching. I'm going to try to, once I get that pipe set where I want it, on the other end I'm going to make me a patch piece that'll weld here on the sheet metal and come down to the pipe, weld that all in, and that'll leave me a few inch hole here on both sides, and I'll try to make that. It ain't gonna be very pretty no matter what I do, but hopefully it'll be acceptable. That for sure. I'm gonna have to fill it up with Bondo and hand shape it. Can't even think in my head what the shape would be like. I'm just trying to get it a little piece at a time. Anyway, I'll make me a template and cut this other piece over there and weld it in. Well, I cut this square off of here, welded another 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch pipe in it. Now I just need to make the plate that covers this round part, bends over. Try to get what I got over there. All I've got is 18 gauge. And cutting them out of this rather than start whacking up my new stuff. Here's a piece of the new there. And this old piece here looks like it's might be just a little bit thinner, so I'm using it. Hopefully it'll bend a little better. I tried a different technique. I made my little round piece here, welded it on, and then I started just bending it over slowly and welding it to the roof as I went. And when I got it down pretty close, I just welded it here along the bar. So that looks like that's a pretty good way to go right there, because I'm getting a smooth transition to the roof, from the roof to the thing, and then whatever's left over here I can grind up. But that one there, I can see that I can see my problems with it right now. So what I'll do is go over there and cut that one, make me a piece for that corner, and I'll weld up the roof piece first, and then I'll make a patch here for this, weld that in, and then I have to cut this piece here in the middle. Anyway, that looks a lot better. I don't know what it's going to look like ground down. I'll do that real quick. That actually turned out really nice. I've got a little low spot right in here. I can probably hammer and dolly that out. But this is plenty good to fill with Bondo. Kind of surprised right here. It's perfectly flat across there. Anyway, looks like that's the technique. Well, there's a passenger side. I just cut a square here. I cut this to where it was square, and put that in and just welded along the sheet metal, and used a little body dolly here up under there to kind of get that bend in. It'll look fine when it's ground down. I've got it pretty close to matching this piece here. That piece sort of bent right at the edge, more of an angle rather than a curve, even though I had a pipe under it. I think it just bent on the pipe. So anyway, this will turn out good once I grind it down and fill the holes. It'll be fine. You can tell obviously what it is. It was just a patch panel put over a round pipe, and it's going to look the same side to side. Patch panel put over a round pipe, and I'll get this front piece across here and transitioned, and that should be good to go. I tried this new rust converter. It's got warnings all over it, you know, acid, chews you up, does this, does that, wash it off, don't get it in your eyes, don't get it in your mouth. I believe them. Anyway, I put it on this piece here, let it dry quite a while, a couple hours, and then washed it off with water. It leaves kind of a oily residue on it, and you taste acid still. I don't know, I'll let her dry tomorrow, see what happens. Yeah, I think it'd be real good for converting serious rust. So I don't know how important it is to wash it off or how well it'll dry, but I did some up in here. You can see that kind of clean place. That's the dry rust. I was cleaning my spray bottle out after I rust converted all this. I used some of that that new stuff in here, and squirted it full and blew it in with a air gun, so I can tell tomorrow what happened when it gets to dry good. But anyway, this was the one nightmare I couldn't figure out, was these two corners. So now I got those two corners in. The rest of this is just straightforward weld on a piece. It's going to look fine. A couple hours, I'll have this done tomorrow, and then I can go ahead and make my round piece here and here. Block all this off. Take a little more cutting. About out of gas. Used almost a whole tank for that roof. What else did I do? I did something else. Oh yeah, the firewall. Roof and firewall. Used most of the tank. A lot of welding, and I'll probably finish it up here on this, and I'll go get another tank, and I think that'll be my last half to buy gas. Oh, there it is, ground up. Looks pretty good. I'll use some welding wire and patch up the holes. Wife had laryngitis, couldn't even talk the last couple of days. I seem to be getting a little hoarse. I don't know. I never catch anything from other people, but yeah, this got a pretty good bump. I might split that, knock it down. Nah. I ain't gonna mess with that. I'd have to cut an X in it. I don't want to do that. I'll just finish grinding it up, fill it, Probably look alright when it's done with the bundle. Anyway, that was quite a job, mostly because I didn't know what to do. But I did get it done, and kind of proud of it. Looks like I gotta ring this up with some Bondo, give me a straight shot there. It'll be good enough.